On July 17, 1954, the fifth round of the World Championship finally arrived at the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain, bringing the thrill of Formula One racing to eager fans once again. 2 weeks ago, the French Grand Prix showcased the remarkable comeback of the Daimler-Benz team to Grand Prix racing. In a stunning display of prowess, they managed to secure both first and second places on their first attempt, leaving their rivals in the dust. This victory not only highlighted their engineering excellence, but also sent a clear message to their competitors. Daimler-Benz is a force to be reckoned with this season. Mercedes-Benz's arrival in England was nothing short of spectacular. The team came fully equipped with an impressive array of lorries and workshop vans, showcasing their meticulous preparation and commitment. Additionally, private Mercedes-Benz cars, including a stunning 300 SL Coupe for Alfred Neubauer, added an extra touch of elegance and sophistication to their grand entrance. Mercedes-Benz arrived in Britain with a truly special car, though it wasn't a race car by any means. How would you describe a vehicle that blends actual parts from a Mercedes 180 sedan, a truck, and a Mercedes 300 SL? Perhaps the world's fastest custom race car hauler, the Rennabteilung. Mercedes-Benz engineers went above and beyond, working with a modified 300S passenger car chassis, integrating a 6-cylinder direct injection inline engine from the 300 SL, and incorporating sheet metal and interior components from the 180 sedan. The result was a striking-looking hauler capable of tearing up the famous Autobahn at around 100 miles per hour, ensuring that their prized race cars arrived in style and on time. This is proper Mercedes mentality. The core of the driver's cab took its design cues from the Mercedes 180 passenger car, albeit with specific adaptations. The front section, featuring a pronounced slope and rounded contours, seamlessly integrated with an SL-style coolant air intake. Furthermore, the fenders were meticulously crafted using modified components sourced from the Mercedes 180 passenger car. The tubular frame of the 300S was ingeniously expanded both at the front and rear to accommodate the substantial load of transporting a Silver Arrow on its flatbed. Positioned just above the front axle, the direct injection SL engine was seamlessly integrated and linked to a synchronized 4-speed transmission via a single-plate dry clutch. Derived from the renowned 3-liter 6-cylinder engine of the 300 SL, the power output was dialed back from 215 horsepower to 192 horsepower for this custom application. It still produced a robust 186 pound-foot of torque at 4,700 RPM, enabling the unique truck to achieve a top speed of 100 miles per hour. The layout of Silverstone differed notably from Ram's, lacking the extended straights that favored Mercedes's streamlined design. Ferrari and Maserati were optimistic that this characteristic would negate Mercedes's advantage seen in France. Compounding this, Neubauer opted to enter only 2 cars in the Grand Prix, driven by Juan Manuel Fangio and Carl Kling. Scuderia Ferrari fielded the same trio of drivers as they did in France: José Froilán González, Mike Hawthorne, and Maurice Trintignant. They all took to the starting grid piloting variants of the Ferrari 625 model. At Maserati, the driver lineup remained unchanged, with Onofre Marimon partnering once more with Lancia drivers Alberto Ascari and Luigi Villoresi. The Lancia team was eagerly anticipating their debut in the upcoming races. Both days of qualifying were marred by rain, with only Friday morning offering a dry track for the drivers to set their laps. Juan Manuel Fangio emerged as the fastest once more, clocking a time of 1 minute 45. However, even the Argentine ace encountered a mishap when he accidentally knocked over one of the trackside restrictive cylinders during a fast lap. The Ferraris in Britain demonstrated impressive speed, with González and Hawthorne trailing Fangio by a mere second, securing second and third positions on the starting grid. Stirling Moss claimed 4th place with a blisteringly quick lap in his Maserati 250F, outpacing John Behrer in the Gordini, who also showed strong pace. Carl Kling did not feel very confident at Silverstone and lost 3 seconds to Fangio, taking 6th place, and the same time was shown by Roy Salvadori from Gilby Engineering and Maurice Trintignant in the 3rd Ferrari. Ken Wharton, unlike the French Grand Prix, had no problems with the car this time, and he showed a good 9th time, and Prince Bira closed the top 10 on the same Maserati 250F car as the Englishman. The biggest setbacks in qualifying were faced by the Maserati drivers, who were unable to set competitive times. Their cars were mistakenly delivered to the wrong port in France, causing a delay in their arrival at the track. On race day, the skies remained overcast once more, suggesting that the Grand Prix itself might unfold under rainy conditions. Meanwhile, Maserati encountered another issue even before the race began. Oil leaks were discovered on Luigi Villarese's car, necessitating a switch to a spare vehicle. The drivers will navigate 90 laps around the track, covering a total race distance of 423.9 kilometers. Fangio's race starts poorly as he is quickly overtaken by the Ferraris of Gonzalez and Hawthorne, along with Moss, who grabs 2nd place. Yet, Moss's moment of joy is short-lived, as both Hawthorne and Fangio manage to pass him before the lap concludes. Berra launches an attack on Moss, successfully taking 4th place. Shortly after, Marimon also overtakes the Englishman. On the 3rd lap, Fangio, much like during qualifying, clips one of the trackside cylinders, leaving a deep dent on the Mercedes body. Meanwhile, Moss stages a fierce comeback, overtaking both Berra and Marimon in a single lap to reclaim 4th place. On the same lap, the first retirements occur. The engines on Brandon's Cooper and Rosier's Ferrari give out, forcing them out of the race. Fangio, who has been closely following Hawthorne for several laps, finally makes his move and overtakes the Englishman, moving up to 2nd place. However, Gonzalez has already built a 5-second lead by this point. After an intense battle, Villarese overtakes Prince Bira to claim 11th place. Ascari pulls into the pits, clearly dissatisfied with the handling of his Maserati. The mechanics quickly inspect the car and make some slight adjustments to the steering. After these tweaks, Ascari heads back onto the track, now positioned at the very end of the peloton. At the front of the pack, Moss aggressively challenges Hawthorne on lap 12. With masterful precision, Moss successfully overtakes Hawthorne, securing the 3rd position. Fangio closes in on race leader Gonzalez, skillfully reducing the gap to just 1 second. Meanwhile, Kling loses control in the Copse turn, causing his Mercedes to skid off the track. Despite this mishap, the German driver manages to regain control and get back on course. However, this incident allows Collins to overtake him, moving up to 8th place in his van wall. In a thrilling duel, Hawthorne mounts a counterattack against Moss and successfully regains 3rd place. Meanwhile, Kling appears to struggle on this track, losing another position as Villarese slips past him. Gould pulls into the pits with a jammed front wheel. Despite an hour-long repair, the determined Englishman rejoins the race, hoping to see the finish flag. It was arguably one of the longest pit stops ever from which a driver managed to return to the race. On lap 17, Collins' van wall suffers a loss of engine power, forcing the Englishman to drive into the pits and retire from the race. Despite showing promising speed throughout the Grand Prix, Vanwall's performance ends in disappointment for Collins, who leaves the car clearly dissatisfied with the race's outcome. Gonzalez manages to edge away from Fangio slightly, widening the gap between them to about 2 seconds. As it was predicted, on lap 31 the British rain has arrived. Moss, who was trailing behind Hawthorn, seized the opportunity and launched his attack, swiftly reclaiming third place. However, just 1 lap later, Hawthorn swiftly retaliates against Moss's challenge, skillfully maneuvering to reclaim the lead once more. Moss, displaying his determination not to settle for 4th place, makes a bold move to overtake Hawthorn's Ferrari once more. As the rain continues to pour down, Hawthorn struggles to match Moss's relentless pace, gradually losing ground and slipping further behind in the challenging race conditions. Two-time world champion Ascari encountered trouble as the Italian pulled into the pits, stepped out of his car, and shook his head in disappointment. The oil pump had failed him. It was evidently not Ascari's day. Fangio started experiencing issues with his gearbox, specifically losing 4th gear, forcing the Argentine to manage the lever with one hand while steering with the other. As a result of these gearbox troubles, Fangio's pace began to suffer, allowing Moss and Hawthorn, who were in pursuit, to close the gap. John Behra encountered rear suspension issues, forcing him to concede 5th place to Marimon and retire from the race, costing him valuable points this season. Moss swiftly closes the gap on Fangio, who is battling with gearbox issues, and effortlessly overtakes the struggling Argentine's Mercedes, greeted by enthusiastic applause from his fellow countrymen. 3 laps later, Hawthorn closes in on Fangio and maneuvers past the Argentine, relegating him to 4th place. Shell encounters car troubles, forcing him to enter the pits, which allows Gerard to overtake him. Marimon swiftly closes the gap with Fangio and smoothly overtakes his mentor. Last year, Marimon earned a spot at Maserati with the guidance of his mentor Fangio, making a remarkable debut by securing a podium finish in his maiden race. However, throughout the subsequent races, the Argentine driver frequently faced disappointment due to mechanical failures with his car. Despite these setbacks, Onofre consistently demonstrated impressive speed, culminating in a strong performance where he contended for victory at the last race in Monza. With the departures of Fangio and Gonzalez from Maserati, Onofre now unexpectedly finds himself thrust into the role of team leader. This season, the Argentine will need to prove himself worthy of this new responsibility and continue to showcase his potential on the track. 10 laps before the finish, Moss faces rear suspension problems, prompting the Englishman to pit. Unfortunately, the mechanics are unable to resolve the issue, resulting in Sterling's withdrawal from the race and the loss of his hard-earned 2nd place. José Froilán González clinches victory at the 1954 British Grand Prix as he crossing the finish line first. Ferrari's first victory of the season is quite an achievement. His flawless performance, taking the lead from pole sitter Juan Manuel Fangio on the first lap and maintaining it throughout the race, truly demonstrates his skills. In addition, thanks to this victory, the young Argentine secures 2nd place in the standings, emerging as Fangio's primary challenger in the title race. His teammate Hawthorn secures 2nd place, delivering a double triumph for Ferrari in this race and offering solace to English fans disappointed by Moss's retirement. The final spot on the podium is claimed by Marimon, who delivers an impressive performance, clinching 3rd after starting from the back row of the grid. Meanwhile, Fangio skillfully maneuvers his battered Mercedes to secure a commendable 4th place, salvaging what could have been a disastrous outing for the German team on English turf. Trintignant, who remained relatively inconspicuous throughout the race, manages to clinch 2 valuable points with his 5th place finish. The outcome saw Fangio maintaining a slightly reduced lead of 13.5 points over Gonzalez in the Drivers' Championship standings. The race stands out in history, as the sole instance where the fastest lap was divided among 7 drivers, each clocking an identical time of 1 minute 50 seconds. This unusual scenario led to each driver receiving 1/7 of a point. The peculiar situation arose because race officials had only been timing laps in whole seconds, a practice that extended to the qualifying sessions used to set the starting grid. In response to this event, the FIA implemented minimum standards for timing and scoring for the first time, aiming to prevent similar issues in future races.